If you're one of the more than 250 million Americans who already have health insurance, you will keep your health insurance. This law will only make it more secure and more affordable.
That was just one of the times the president has said most Americans learned the hard way that he couldn't possibly be telling the truth as we find out more and more about Obamacare, as more and more people actually lose the coverage they were promised to hold on to. So with this new broken promise to the American people, has the president reached the point of no return? To this point, nothing has stuck. He went through 3 scandals at the same time and got through it fine. Let's ask presidential historian and author of American Phoenix, Jane Hampton Cook. Jane, is this a big turning point for the president or just a bump in the road?
I think it's a turning point because, the LA Times over the weekend reported that a woman whose health insurance was increasing by 50% said, I was all for Obamacare until I found out that I was paying for it. So I think the difference here is that people who supported President Obama and Obamacare are starting to feel that he's broken a promise to them. And that's a real dangerous point for a president when some of your supporters are starting to turn on your policy.
And, being a historian like you are, certain things stand out from other presidents. For example, Jimmy Carter's malaise speech. He never was able to shake that, where he talked about our country plateauing.
That's right. It was called the Crisis in Confidence speech, and it was a downer. I mean, I counted one time. He beat his fist on the desk more than 30 times, and it was such a downbeat speech. There was very little optimism. And people elected Jimmy Carter because he could feel their pain, but also share their dreams, and there was no dream sharing in that speech, right. And it was a turning point for him. It
was a turning point. So was he going to turn it around, or was he going to go down? The hostage crisis kind of did away with that. Now, you brought to Gerald Ford making an important speech that boomeranged on him when he made that famous statement, "Our long national nightmare is over."
Yes. When he took the oath of office, when Nixon resigned, he said the long national nightmare is over. And then a month later, he pardoned Nixon, which forwarded that policy, that idea. But a lot of Americans felt like Nixon didn't get enough accountability, that he should have gone through some sort of judicial process or some sort of investigation. And Ford was just trying to put it behind Americans, but a lot of them felt like there was some injustice there.
You also look at George Bush's Iraq policy. After the successful invasion, what happened after wasn't going well. In 2006, and a lot of people who supported the war started turning on President Bush and the war, but it forced a policy change, and that was the surge.
That's right. The Democrats ran in the 2006 midterms on an anti-Iraq policy, and they won. President Bush, though, took that and he changed the strategy. He invited people to come talk to him in December of 2006, people from the State Department, military advisors, and then he implemented the surge in January of 2007. Gotcha. So it just, he used it and showed that he was going to change and alter his policy.
All right, the year is 1968. Lawrence LBJ comes forward with a speech about Vietnam. He says we reach a point of no return.
That's right. LBJ resigned. I'm sorry, he did not resign. He chose not to run again in 1968 because the policy in in Vietnam, just wasn't going well. And he couldn't get the North Vietnamese to the peace table like he wanted. And it was a broken promise to a lot of people. So he just chose not to run again, which was smart politically for him.
And just so interesting, too, you bring up James Madison's war policy in the War of 1812. He ends up outside on a horse by himself while they burn all of Washington. Yes. He was too fixated on Canada and not in defending the capital against the British.
That's right, and I wrote about that in American Phoenix, that he had a point of no return in his presidency. The British burned the U.S. Capitol and the White House. But Madison did turn around, and he became a much more decisive leader in the months immediately after that. Right. He had been rather detached. So it'll be interesting to see, what President Obama does. If he maybe follows Madison's model and becomes more engaged.
Yeah, it turned Madison made a personal contact with a lot of people through a troubling time and changed the way history looked at him. Jane Hampton Cook, presidential historian, author of American Phoenix. Great perspective. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
All right.